What if the reason you're not moving forward is that you're thinking too small or moving too slow? Imagine waking up every day with a clear focus, pushing yourself to take action without hesitation, and reaching goals you once thought were impossible. How would your life change if you stopped holding back and started thinking bigger while moving faster? This isn't about luck or waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making real decisions that create real results. Today, you'll learn how to break free from small goals, stop distractions, and take bold steps that speed up your progress. If you want to stop watching time pass by and start making your dreams happen, this video will give you the mindset and strategies to do just that. Stay with me and discover how to unlock your full potential by thinking bigger and moving faster starting right now. Number 1, decide exactly what you want without holding back. You have to know exactly what you want. Not sort of, not maybe, not someday, not when things are easier or clearer. Right now, you have to make a decision that is final and firm, and you can't hold back while doing it. If you're going to think about a better life, you can't afford to think small. You've done that before, and it's left you stuck. You've watered down your dreams. You've told yourself to be realistic. But the truth is, people stay where they are not because life is unfair, but because they've never truly decided to rise above where they are. The people who move forward in life are not the lucky ones. They are the clear ones. They know what they want in exact detail, and they don't apologize for it. They don't wait for someone to approve. They decide and then they begin, without a map, without full certain, just a decision and then motion. That's how it began. You don't need to wait to be more ready. You don't need another opinion. What you need is clarity. That's the starting point. Sit with yourself quietly and answer the question, what do you really want? What would make you proud to be you? What would get you up every morning without forcing yourself? Not what someone else wants for you, not what you think is safe, what you want. If you were being completely honest, that's where your energy lives. That's where your courage hides. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're unclear, they haven't committed. They keep one foot in and one foot out. And you know what that gets you? Nothing but frustration. It drains your confidence, it makes you second guess yourself. It turns life into a constant wait, a wait for permission, for signs, for motivation. But you don't need a sign, you need a decision. Make it today. Decide to stop settling. Decide to stop shrinking. Decide that your time matters, that your life matters, that you're done drifting, because without a decision, all the talent in the world will go to waste. You can be the smartest person in the room and still go nowhere if your mind is clouded by hesitation. But once your decision is real, everything else becomes simpler. Not easy, but simpler. Your mind begins to filter out what doesn't align. You stop chasing everything and start building something. Now here's the hard truth. The moment you decide what you really want, discomfort is going to show up. People around you might not understand. You might feel fear. You might feel doubt. That's normal. That's part of the process. Don't confuse those feelings with a signal to stop. Most people quit because they assume discomfort means it's wrong. But it's not wrong. It's new. It's stretching you. You're just not used to making decisions this strong. You're not used to believing in something so fully. But the only way to get used to it is to keep going. You have to build the muscle of clarity. Not once, not twice. Every day. Wake up and remind yourself what you've decided. That's how you anchor yourself. That's how you stay on track when the world tries to pull you back into average. You've lived average. You know how that feels. Now it's time to live with intention, with direction, with force. Stop talking about change. Stop thinking about it. Stop journaling about it. Start becoming it. The first step is this. Decide exactly what you want without holding back. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Own it. Make it clear enough that it scares you a little. If it doesn't scare you, you haven't gone deep enough. Go deeper. Dig into the version of you that's been buried under years of hesitation and self-doubt. That version is still alive. You just have to wake it up. Too many people play it safe and call it wisdom, but safety is often just fear dressed up in better clothes. Don't confuse safety with strategy. The smartest thing you can do is choose boldly. The most practical move you can make is to be honest about what you want and go after it with full effort. That's not reckless. That's how progress works. The world doesn't hand out rewards to people who kind of want something. It listens to those who walk with certainty. And you can't afford to wait for life to clear the path for you. You clear the path by walking through it, step by step, The door doesn't open before you decide. It opens because you decide. But you have to mean it. No backup plans. No watered down versions. Decide like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. There's no room anymore for vague dreams. I just want to be successful. That's not clear. That's not real. What does that mean to you? What does it look like in numbers and time and habits? You want to be healthy? How healthy? You want to be financially free? What does that look like every month? You want strong relationships? What kind? With who? Your mind needs precision, not hope, clarity. Hope is useful in hard times, but clarity is what moves your feet. Clarity drives your actions. You wake up and know what to do, not because life is easy, but because the goal is clear. That's the power of decision. It gives your energy a place to go. It makes the noise fade. It doesn't erase your problems, but it gives you something stronger than your problems. A reason to keep going. And when you have that reason, you move differently. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop tolerating half effort. You stop wasting time with people who don't respect your direction. Why? Because you've already decided. You're not guessing. You're building. You're not asking if it's possible. You're figuring out how. That's where your growth begins. Not in the books, not in the podcasts, not in more learning, but in the moment you finally tell yourself the truth. This is what I want. This is what I'm doing. And I'm not going to shrink it to fit someone else's comfort zone. You've waited long enough. You've watched others move ahead. You've questioned yourself for years. Now it's your turn to stand up straight and decide who you are and what matters to you. And once that knees is made, your job is to stay loyal to it. When it's hard, when it's tiring, when it's lonely, that's when it counts. Because a strong decision, one that comes from your core, doesn't fade. It sticks. It shapes your mindset. It breaks your old patterns. It makes you faster, clearer, stronger. And most of all, it makes you free. Free from the constant noise. Free from regret. Free from wondering what if. Because now you know what you're chasing, and you're not turning back. So decide, right here, right now. Not tomorrow. Not when things calm down. Today. Decide exactly what you want. Without filters. Without fear. Without holding back. Then move like someone who means it. That's how everything changes. That's how you begin. Number 2, drop small goals that keep your life small. You cannot live a big life by chasing small goals. That's where most people stay stuck. They set targets so low they don't even have to grow to reach them. And that's the problem. If your goals don't force you to grow, they'll never lead you to the life you really want. Small goals feel safe, but they come with a cost. They keep your energy low, your progress slow, and your confidence weak. You weren't built to just survive your days. You were built to lead them. But that doesn't happen when you aim low. Too many people confuse comfort with progress. They think because they're moving, they're growing. But movement is not the same as direction. You can run in circles for years and still be where you started. Small goals will do that to you. They keep you busy without ever pushing you forward. They give you just enough effort to feel like you're doing something, but not enough pressure to transform who you are. And that's the real cost. Because the life you want requires a better version of you. That version doesn't show up for small ideas. It only comes out when you reach for more. Small goals are a trap. They trick you into believing you're being realistic. But let's be honest, realistic for who? You were not born to settle for average. You were born with something unique. But you'll never discover it by playing it safe. You don't grow by staying in the same lane. You grow by stepping into the uncomfortable. You grow by raising your standards and refusing to accept less. Every time you accept a goal that doesn't stretch you, you shrink your own potential. You trade expansion for safety. But here's the truth. Safety doesn't build anything. It just keeps you hidden. The goals you set shape how you live. If your goals are small, your actions will match. You'll wake up with little urgency. You'll do just enough to get by. You'll stop taking risks. And before you know it, years pass and nothing changes. That's what happens when you design your life around fear instead of vision. That's what happens when you let doubt speak louder than desire. That's what happens when you play the game not to lose instead of playing to win. There is no pride in playing small. There is no peace in settling. It doesn't matter how stable it looks on the outside. If you know you're capable of more but keep choosing less, you will feel it every day. It will show up in the way you talk to yourself. It will show up in how much energy you carry. It will show up in the silence, in the moments when you ask yourself, is this really it? You can't fake fulfillment, and you can't lie to yourself forever. Eventually, it all catches up. It's not about being greedy. It's about being honest. Look at the results around you. Do they reflect your best? Or are they a product of low standards? Have you chosen these goals because they're meaningful, or just because they're manageable? It's easy to chase what's easy, but easy doesn't change your life. Easy doesn't develop discipline. Easy doesn't teach you who you really are. The real growth begins when you drop the goals that no longer challenge you. When you say, this is too small for the life I want. When you stop accepting goals that keep your confidence tied to comfort. You need goals that wake you up. Goals that scare you a little. Goals that require new skills, stronger habits, and better discipline. Not because it's impressive to others, but because you owe that to yourself. The people who go far don't set easy goals. They set goals that pull something new out of them. And it's not because they're fearless, it's because they've accepted that fear as part of growth. They've decided that progress matters more than comfort, that the risk of staying the same is greater than the risk of failing. That's the mindset you need, not just to succeed, but to feel alive. Small goals also rob you of time. Every day you spend chasing something that doesn't matter is a day you lose, becoming someone that does. And no, you don't get that time back. It doesn't matter how busy you are, if your goals are too small to make a difference. If what you're building doesn't challenge you, it will never fulfill you. It might pay your bills, it might impress a few people, but it won't feed your soul, and you'll know it. You'll feel it. Every time you settle, a piece of you stays stuck. You have to be willing to outgrow your current vision. You have to raise your expectations, not for others, for yourself. Ask more of yourself. Stop designing goals based on what's easy to finish. Start designing them based on who you want to become. If the goal doesn't change you, it's not big enough. If the goal doesn't make you nervous, it's not bold enough. If the goal doesn't demand new habits, it's not worth your time. That's the shift. Instead of asking what you can do, ask what you must do. Stop asking, what's reasonable, and start asking, what's necessary for the life I really want? And when you ask that question honestly, you'll see just how much time you've been wasting with half-effort targets. You'll see how much potential you've ignored just to stay comfortable. And that truth will sting, but it will also wake you up. You don't need a better plan. You need a better goal. You need something that breaks your current routine. Something that shakes you out of autopilot. Something that forces you to grow. Not next year, next month, but now. That's how people change. Not when life gets easier, but when the goal becomes too important to delay. You will never rise above the level of the goal you chase. If your goal is low, your energy will be low. If your goal is average, your effort will be average. But when your goal is big, it changes how you carry yourself. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you prioritize. Because now you're not chasing comfort. You're chasing purpose. And the moment you realize that your goals have been keeping you small is the moment you get your power back. Because now you have a choice. Keep living a small story, or write a bigger one. One that pushes you, one that scares you, one that demands the best of you. Not once, but every day. That's how you grow. That's how you earn respect from yourself. That's how you stop waiting for a breakthrough and start becoming it. So stop giving energy to goals that don't matter. Stop pretending you're satisfied when you know you're not. Stop settling just because you're afraid to ask for more. You're not here to live small. You're here to take up space, to challenge limits, to rise. That only happens when you finally let go of the goals that no longer match the life you say you want. Do it now. You don't have forever. Number 3, surround yourself with people who challenge your pace. You will never grow faster than the people you keep close. If you want to move quicker, do more. Become more. You need to be around people who push your limits. Not just people who like you. Not just people who agree with you. People who demand better from you. People who make you uncomfortable in the best way. People who aren't impressed by your potential. They expect you to live it. If your circle doesn't challenge your pace, it's slowing you down. And that's not always obvious at first. Sometimes it feels like support, but if the people around you let you coast, if they never question your excuses, if they never call you out when you're drifting, you're in the wrong room. Because support without challenge is comfort, and comfort never built anything worth being proud of. Think about the last time someone around you made you raise your game. Not by tearing you down, but by making you realize you are capable of more. How often does that happen in your current circle? How many people around you are truly growing? How many are disciplined, focused, relentless? If you're the sharpest, the fastest, the most committed one in your group, you're already behind. Growth isn't about feeling good. It's about getting better. And better requires pressure. You need friends who remind you when you're playing it safe. You need voices in your life that interrupt your laziness. You need people who are so committed to their own vision that they inspire you to level up. Not saying a word. Being around people like that does something to you. It makes your excuses feel weak. It makes your comfort zone look small. It makes your old habits impossible to defend. That's the difference. You're either surrounded by people who stretch your capacity or people who slow it down. And you can't have both. You can't grow fast while being pulled back. You can't break new ground while staying tied to people who are still debating whether to start. That doesn't mean you look down on others. It means you protect your momentum. You treat your energy like it matters. You treat your future like it depends on who's in your ear. Because it does. There's nothing noble about staying loyal to people who keep you stagnant. Loyalty doesn't mean letting yourself rot in a circle that celebrates mediocrity. You were not put here to babysit someone else's comfort. You were not born to carry people who refuse to walk. Your responsibility is to your growth first. If someone loves you, they'll want you to move faster. If they don't, you need to ask why they're still around. And let's be clear, the people who challenge your pace won't always feel good. Sometimes they'll frustrate you. Sometimes they'll say things that hit a nerve. But that's exactly why they matter. It's the people who always make you feel good rarely push you. The ones who grow you are the ones who push back. They don't settle for your first answer. They don't accept your lazy days. They challenge your standard. They see through your excuses. And they don't let you get away with giving half your effort. That's the kind of pressure that creates winners. Not pressure to impress, but pressure to evolve. Not pressure to compete with others, but to compete with your own best self. You need to be around people who are going somewhere. People with goals, with urgency, with stand. When you spend time with them, it raises the bar for you automatically. You can't be around greatness without feeling the demand to upgrade. That's the point. If you want to move fast, you have to choose pace setters. People who are already where you want to be, or at least headed there. People who get up early, who stay consistent, who don't negotiate with distractions. Their habits will rub off on you. Their mindset will shape your. Their standards will start to feel normal. That's the environment that transforms people. But most never create it. They settle for friendships based on history, not alignment. They keep old relationships alive just because they feel familiar. But you can't build a future by dragging the past. If your old connections are keeping you slow, it's time to let go. That's not being cold, that's being clear. You're not better than anyone, but you're no longer willing to be held back by people who stop moving. Ask yourself, are the people around me helping me grow or giving me reasons to slow down? Are they making me sharper or more distracted? Are they pushing me to do more or making me feel okay doing less? Those answers matter because you don't get your time back. Every day you spend with people who drain your pace is a day of progress you lose. And if you let that continue, you don't just slow down, you forget how fast you could be. You don't need a huge network, you just need a few people who are serious. A few people who call you out with respect. A few people who challenge your ideas and raise the bar. A few people who are moving fast enough to make you want to catch up. If you find that, hold on to it. Invest in those connections. Show up for those people, because that's your environment for transformation. And if you can't find those people yet, become one. Be the one who moves with urgency. Be the one who takes action when others wait. Be the one who sets goals that force discipline. The right people will find you. They'll recognize the pace you're setting, and they'll want to be around it. That's how momentum is built. One decision, one habit, one person at a time. You don't owe it to anyone to stay stuck. You owe it to yourself to move forward. Surround yourself with people who make that easier, not harder. People who don't slow you down with doubt or distraction. People who challenge you not because they think less of you, but because they know there's more in you. That's the kind of pressure that creates change. That's the kind of environment where real progress happens. That's how you grow faster, by refusing to be the fastest one in the room. So stop waiting for motivation. Stop trying to do it all alone. Build your circle with intention. Find the ones who move fast and move with them. If you want to change your life, change who's around you. Because the right people won't let you move slow. They won't let you settle. They won't let you waste time. They'll challenge your pace every day, and you'll thank them for it. Number 4, take bold steps before fear talks you out of it. If you don't move fast, fear will make the decision for you. And when fear takes over, it doesn't just slow you down, it stops you completely. That's why the most important moves in your life must be made before fear gets a chance to speak. You have a small window between your idea and your hesitation. And in that window, everything is possible. But once you let fear in, it rewrites the plan. It tells you to wait. It tells you you're not ready. It tells you to think more, prepare more, delay more. And while you're listening to all that, the moment passes. The opportunity is gone. The courage fades. That's how people lose years without even realizing it. Fear doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up as overthinking, as fake preparation, as the lie that you need more time. It sounds reasonable, but it's not. It's fear pretending to be logic. And if you don't catch it early, it becomes your way of life. You start saying, maybe later, to everything that matters. You start calling your delay wisdom when it's really just avoidance. And the longer you wait, the more you convince yourself you're not the kind of person who takes bold steps. But you just haven't trained yourself to move before fear takes the wheel. Bold steps are uncomfortable. They never feel convenient. They don't wait for your schedule. They don't wait for perfect timing. They demand action in the middle of uncertainty. That's what makes them bold. And that's also what makes them necessary. You cannot live a powerful life by playing it safe. You cannot build something meaningful while constantly needing more reassurance. At some point, you have to move. Not when everything is figured out. Not when it all feels good. You have to move when the idea is still fresh and the fire is still alive. Because once you let it cool down, it's harder to get it back. You have to train yourself to act when you feel the pull. That first feeling of I should do this. Don't wait. Don't explain it away. Don't ask 10 people for their opinion. Move. Even a small move counts. The action doesn't have to be massive, but it needs to be real. It needs to send a message to your mind that you are the one in control, not your fear, not your doubts. Fear always works the same way. First, it shows you the worst case. Then it tells you you're not ready. Then it tells you you'll fail. And if that doesn't work, it brings in the voices from the past. Memories of failure, moments of rejection, things people once said. It throws everything at you to stop you. And it works, unless you act quickly. Unless you get there before it does. That's the skill. That's the power. Not to avoid fear, but to beat it to the punch. When you move before fear has time to speak, you stay ahead of it. And that's where momentum lives. That's where confidence builds. Every time you take a bold step, even if it's messy, you teach yourself that progress matters more than perfection. You stop needing guarantees. You stop looking for safety. You start looking for truth. And the truth is, most of what you fear is made up. It's not the world holding you back. It's the space between your idea and your action. Close that gap, and your whole life changes. Think about the decisions you're delaying right now, the conversations you're avoiding, the moves you keep postponing. Ask yourself why. Be honest. Is it really about preparation? Or is it fear dressed up as logic? You know the answer. Most people do. They just don't want to face it. But if you're serious about change, you have to face it. You have to look fear in the eye and move anyway. That's how you build character. That's how you build trust in yourself. The people who go far don't move because they're fearless. They move because they've decided not to let fear make choices for them. And you need to do the same. You can't keep putting your life on hold because you feel uncomfortable. You can't keep shrinking your actions to match your fear. That's not how success works. Success doesn't wait for you to feel brave. It rewards the ones who move, even when they're unsure. And here's something you need to remember. Most of the greatest things in your life will come from steps that scared you. The best decisions will often be the hardest to make. The most meaningful moments will come from times you could have backed down, but didn't. That's where your future is, not in comfort, not in routine, but in boldness. It's not about being reckless. It's about being honest. If something matters to you, stop negotiating with it. Move on it. Don't wait for the fear to grow stronger. Don't give it space to talk you out of something you know is right. Because if you do, it will keep happening. One by one, fear will shrink your goals, delay your plans, and drain your energy. You'll still be alive, but you won't be living. You'll be stuck in a pattern of almost doing something great. So break the pattern. Make your move before your mind fills with excuses. Send the message. Take the step. Start the project. Say yes. Say no. Whatever it is, just do it before fear turns it into a missed opportunity. You don't get unlimited chances. Life moves. Time moves. And if you don't move with it, you get left behind. And the saddest part is, you'll know it. You'll feel it. You'll look back and realize you had everything you needed. Except the decision to act fast. Your future is shaped in these small moments. In the choice to move now instead of later, and the decision to act bold before fear starts building a case. Every bold move you take adds a layer of strength. Every delayed one takes a piece of it away. Choose wisely. Train yourself to catch the hesitation early. Don't analyze everything to death. Don't overthink your instincts. Trust them. Use them. Build from them. You are not meant to live a careful life. You are meant to take bold steps that wake you up. Steps that demand focus. That force discipline. That stretch your limits. Those are the moves that count. These are the ones you remember. Not the easy ones. Not the comfortable ones. The bold one. The ones that scared you. And you did them anyway. Make that your standard. When the moment comes, move. Don't look back. Don't check how you feel. Don't ask for permission. Just move. Before fear speaks. Before doubt grows. Before you change your mind. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you take your power back. One bold move at a time. Number 5, cut out anything that slows down your progress. If you're serious about reaching your goals, you have to be ruthless with what slows you down. That means not everything and everyone gets to come with you. The world is full of noise, distraction, and temptation, and if you don't start cutting it out, you'll keep wondering why progress feels so far away. You can have excuses, or you can have results, but not. And every minute you spend tolerating something that slows you down is a minute stolen from your potential. You can't keep saying you're committed while holding on to habits, people, and routines that keep dragging you back. Look around your life right now. Look at your day. Look at your habits. Look at your relationships. Ask yourself one question. Is this helping me move forward, or is it slowing me down? And if the answer is the second one, it has to go. Not later, not when you're more ready. Now, because momentum doesn't just come from what you do, it comes from what you stop doing. And if you want to move faster, you have to start cutting without apology. Cut out the scrolling. Cut out the gossip. Cut out the meaningless conversations that lead nowhere. You don't need another debate about things that won't matter a year from now. You don't need to stay updated on every piece of drama. You also need to cut out the people who drain you. The ones who never clap when you win. The ones who always bring problems, never solutions. The ones who talk about goals but never take action. You love someone and still outgrow them. You can be kind and still create space. You can't afford to carry people who aren't willing to carry themselves. You don't have to cut with anger, but you must cut with clarity. If they're not helping you become who you want to be, what are they really doing in your life? Familiarity is not a reason to stay stuck. And now let's talk about habits. What you do every day is either sharpening you or weakening you. There is no neutral. If your daily routine is built around comfort, you're already behind. You need to be cutting out things that waste your morning. It's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. If your time is being spent on things that don't bring you closer to your goals, it's being wasted. You can't afford that anymore. Life moves fast. And if you don't take control of your habits, they will control you. They'll set your pace to slow. And they'll do it without you even realizing. Progress doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you clear the path. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You need fewer things stealing your energy. Because the truth is, most people are not tired from doing too much. They're tired from doing too little of what actually matters. They spend their days reacting, not building, consuming, not creating. And they wonder why they feel stuck. It's not a mystery, it's math. So start subtracting. Subtract the things that take more than they give. Subtract the lies you keep telling yourself about starting next week. Subtract the time you spend comparing yourself to people online who aren't even living the life they pretend to. Subtract the need to explain your goals to people who aren't chasing anything. Every subtraction brings you closer to speed. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you make more space for what drives you. You need clarity, not clutter. You need space to breathe, think, and act. You can't do that when your life is filled with things that feel urgent but mean nothing. Cut out the false urgency. Cut out the rush to respond to everything. Your attention is valuable. Start treating it that way. Don't let every beep and buzz pull you away from your focus. The more you protect your attention, the more power you'll have. Even your thoughts need trimming. Pay attention to the ones that slow you down. The ones that say you're not ready. The ones that replay old failures. The ones that tell you to play small. Those thoughts don't deserve your time. You don't need to entertain every idea that enters your mind. You don't need to sit with every memory that tries to define you. Cut out the thoughts that feed doubt. Replace them with action. Replace them with decisions. Replace them with truth. And here's the truth. When you stop feeding distractions, your goals get louder. When you stop tolerating what weakens you, your strength grows. When you stop explaining and start executing, everything changes. But none of that starts until you make cuts. And yes, cuts are painful. They demand choice. They create distance. They change your routine. But they are the price of progress. You want to move faster? Get lighter. Carry less. Hold tighter only to what matters. Not everything deserves space in your day. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Choose wisely. Because what you tolerate now nudges your standard later. And once something becomes your standard, it becomes your future. So decide what stays and what goes. And don't hesitate. Your time is not unlimited. Every second you spend with the wrong habits, the wrong people, the wrong thoughts, it all adds up. And the cost is your potential. Don't pay that price. Not when the solution is this clear. Cut out what slows you down and finally give yourself the freedom to move with power. That's how real progress begins. Not someday, today. Number 6, push yourself daily, even when nobody is watching. Winners are made in silence. Not when the applause is loud, not when the cameras are on, and not when someone is standing over your shoulder. What truly separates those who make it from those who merely wish they could is what they do when no one is around. That's the real test. It's not talent, not luck, not connections. It's discipline in private. That's what shapes your public result. It's easy to be motivated when you're getting recognition. It's easy to show up when people are expecting you. But when the room is empty, when the spotlight is gone, when you don't hear your name being called, that's when most people stop. That's when the average person takes the day off. And that's where the gap starts to grow. The difference between where you are and where you could be is found in the hours nobody sees. It's built in the quiet decisions you make when it's just you and the work. You have to understand something simple but powerful. Your future doesn't care about how you feel today. Your goals don't shrink just because you're tired. Your dreams don't pause because your mood isn't right. The man or woman who pushes through those silent moments builds something that cannot be taken away. You can't borrow consistency. You can't fake repetition. You can't download grit. You earn it, hour by hour, task by task, decision by decision, until it becomes who you are. If you want to stand out in the world, get used to working while others rest. Push when others pause. Act when others hesitate. Progress is not always dramatic. Most of the time it's boring. It's repeating the same hard thing today that you did yesterday, with no reward yet in sight. It's choosing structure over comfort. It's saying no to distractions, not just once, but again and again. It's showing up, even if the only one who notices is you. Especially then. You have to start caring more about results than attention. More about your word than what people think of you. There's a deep pride that comes from knowing you kept your promise to yourself. That pride builds confidence, and that confidence carries into every room you walk into. People can sense it. They may not know what you did to get it, but they can feel it. That quiet strength earned in private makes all the difference in public. I want to tell you this clearly. If you're waiting for motivation, you've already lost. It doesn't show up on demand. It comes after action. It grows after effort. So if you want to feel inspired, go do something hard. Go finish something you don't want to do. Go keep going when your mind is full of excuses. That's where energy lives. You'll be surprised how fast your spirit changes when you prove to yourself that you can follow through. Not once, daily. The man who works for praise will fall apart the moment it's gone. But the man who works for progress keeps growing, no matter who's looking. He knows the mission doesn't change based on other people's opinions. He understands that the best version of him is waiting on the other side of his daily decisions. Not weekly inspiration, not occasional effort, daily follow-through. That's the currency of greatness. Start measuring your progress by how often you push, when it's not convenient. Keep track of how many times you ignore your excuses. Those are your wins. Don't post about them. Don't look for someone to validate them. Just stack them. Stack the wins. One more hour, one more rep, one more email, one more call, one more disciplined choice. Every single day. You do that enough, and soon enough you won't recognize the life you used to live. People often ask, how do I stay consistent? The answer is simple. You stop negotiating with yourself. You remove the option to quit. You take your emotions out of it. You set the standard and live by it, no matter what's happening around you. That's not about being perfect. That's about being committed. That's about telling yourself the truth and acting on it, especially when no one else is watching. One day your effort will be obvious, not because you talked about it, not because you posted it, but because your results won't be able to hide it. There's no shortcut to that point. You earn your way there. You climb through the early mornings, the late nights, the quiet weekends, the hard choices. You become someone different, not all at once, but gradually. Through thousands of unglamorous moments, you chose to keep going. That's how character is built. That's how success becomes inevitable. Not by waiting for permission, not by hoping someone notices, but by choosing to be the kind of person who doesn't need to be watched to stay on course. The kind of person who leads themselves. That kind of discipline is rare. That kind of drive is hard, but that kind of person wins again and again because they're building something that nobody can take from them. So the next time it's early, or late, or quiet, or difficult, and you're wondering whether it's worth it, remember this. Every minute you spend showing up when no one is looking is an indecent. And one day, that investment will pay you back in ways that will make every single hard day feel like the best decision you ever made. Push yourself daily. No audience, no cheerleaders, no spotlight, just you, the work, and the life you promised yourself. That's how it's done. Number 7. Set deadlines that force you to act now. You don't need more time, you need a real reason to move. The longer you give yourself, the more likely you are to wait. Waiting becomes your habit. You keep thinking about it, planning for it, imagining the right moment. But the truth is, your progress doesn't need more thought. It needs urgency. Deadlines change everything. When the pressure is real, your focus sharpens. Your excuses shrink. Your actions grow. But when there's no clear finish line, you stroll through life like you have forever. And you don't. If you want to get serious about anything, stop being vague about when. Vague goals lead to vague results. You say you want to get in shape. When? You say you'll start the business. When? You say you'll get your life together. When? If the answer is soon, someday, or eventually, you've already lost momentum. Your brain doesn't respond to uncertainty. It reacts to pressure. If you had a presentation tomorrow morning and you weren't ready, you'd stay up all night to finish. Not because you're inspired, but because you have to. That's the difference deadlines make. When you have a real deadline, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't let your mood decide. You don't wait to feel motivated. You simply move. You get it done because time is closing in. That's what builds discipline. That's how confidence grows. You teach yourself that when the pressure's on, you step up. You follow through. You take action. And when you stack those moments back to back, you become a different kind of person. Someone who finishes, someone who delivers. Without deadlines, there's no accountability. There's no sense of urgency. You keep rewriting the same goals in your notebook every January, wondering why things don't change. You think it's because you need more discipline or more motivation, but it's not. It's because you never set a date. You never decided by when. Goals without a deadline are just wishes. They feel good to write down. They make you feel like you've done something. But until you add a time limit, there's no reason for your brain to take it seriously. Look at the areas of your life where you've grown the most. Chances are there was a clear target, a clear timeline, and a clear consequence for not delivering. Maybe it was a final exam. Maybe it was a project at work. Maybe it was a competition. Whatever it was, the reason you stepped up is because time was running out. You didn't have the luxury to procrastinate. You had to push. That urgency woke something up in you and you got it done. You can create that same energy for yourself, but you have to stop being soft about it. Don't just say, I'll try to start this month. Say, I'll complete this by August 30th. Be specific. Make it non-negotiable. Write it down. Circle it. Talk about it. Feel the pressure. Let it push you. Let it drive you. And if the deadline feels too comfortable, make it tighter. Shrink it. Make it uncomfortable on purpose. That's how you move from thinking to doing. Don't wait for life to hand you pressure. Apply it yourself. Most people only move when they're forced, when the bills are due, when the opportunity is expiring, when their back is against the wall. Don't wait for that. Build that pressure yourself so you can act before the storm comes. That's how you stay ahead. That's how you take control. When you don't set deadlines, you invite delay. You start convincing yourself that you'll start tomorrow. You tell yourself you need more clarity, more time, more confidence. But what you actually need is motion. And motion comes when the clock is ticking. You become efficient. You make decisions faster. You stop second guessing. You move forward instead of spinning in place. That's what happens when you stop giving yourself forever. There's something powerful about saying, I have 30 days to make this happen. That sentence alone changes your brain. It makes you prioritize. It forces you to stop wasting hours on things that don't matter. It removes the option of drifting. You start managing your time like it counts. Because now it does. If you've been stuck for too long, it's not because you can't do it. It's because you've never committed to doing it by a specific time. You've given yourself open-ended timelines, and that open-ended thinking has drained your urgency. You keep waiting for perfect conditions, but deadlines don't care about perfect. Deadlines demand action. And here's the key. Honor the deadline, even if you're not ready. Even if you don't feel prepared. Even if it's messy. Done is better than waiting. Forward is better than still. What matters is that you finished, not that everything went perfectly. Let the speed teach you. Let the urgency sharpen your instincts. You'll grow faster when you move faster. People who win big in life don't wait for comfort. They create a schedule that pushes them to deliver. They don't just plan goals. They set timers on those goals. They don't just hope to finish. They put themselves in situations where they have to. That's how they train themselves to move whether they feel like it or not. You don't need another year to think about it. You don't need another week to talk yourself into it. You need to pick a date and start counting down. That's how you stop drifting. That's how you gain control. That's how you finally build momentum that lasts. The moment you set a real deadline, you become a threat to your old habits. Your comfort zone starts to crack. Your distractions lose their grip, and you begin to see just how much you can accomplish when you stop giving yourself the option to stall. So if something matters to you, give it a date. Make it real. Put it on the calendar and refuse to push it back. Let the clock tick. Let the pressure rise. Let that fire wake you and push you to act now, not later. Not when it's easy, but now. Because if not now, when? Let this be the turning point. You've waited long enough. This is your moment. Set the deadline and make it count. Number 8, track your progress so you stop lying to yourself. You can't fix what you refuse to face. That's where most people lose. They want results, but they avoid the one habit that brings real growth. Tracking. Because the moment you start keeping score, the lies start falling apart. The excuses get uncomfortable. The stories you've been telling yourself suddenly don't hold weight. And that's exactly what you need. Because success isn't about what you say you're going to do. It's about what actually gets done. It's easy to say you're working hard. It's easy to tell yourself that you're making progress. But when the numbers don't move, when the actions don't add up, you're faced with a truth you can't escape. That's why most avoid tracking. Because deep down, they're not afraid of failing. They're afraid of realizing how little they've really tried. But you don't rise by hiding from the truth. You rise by confronting it every single day. Tracking isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. It's a mirror, not a sentence. When you start writing down what you did with your day, how you spent your time, where your energy went, you begin to see patterns. You begin to catch the little things that are costing you big results. You realize how many hours were wasted scrolling, how many meals were skipped, how many workouts were missed, how many tasks you said you'd do but didn't. And once it's on paper, you can't deny it. You either moved forward or you didn't. You want to win? Then you've got to stop living in theory. The difference between dreamers and doers is that doers measure. They don't leave progress up to memory. They don't rely on feeling. They look at facts because feelings lie, but numbers don't. You might feel like you're busy, but if your calendar says otherwise, that's not hustle. That's avoidance. You might feel like you're getting better, but if your reps haven't increased, your skills haven't improved, your income hasn't grown, then you're just spinning in place. Look around. People who rise fast aren't more talented than you. They just track harder than you. They know exactly what they did last week, what they're doing today, and where that leads next month. They treat progress like a system, not a wish. That's the real advantage. It's not intelligence, it's structure. You don't need a fancy system. You don't need an app. You just need honesty. A notebook, a whiteboard, anything that forces you to see the truth of your actions. What time did you wake up? How many pages did you read? How many steps did you take? How many calls did you make? It doesn't matter what your goal is. If you don't measure it, you will lose to someone who does. It's not always pretty. Some days you'll stare at your journal or calendar and see nothing worth celebrating, but that's exactly the point. You need those moments because they remind you that change doesn't happen just because you want it. It happens because you're willing to take responsibility for your behavior. If you skip tracking, you skip accountability. And if you skip accountability, you stay stuck. People who track their progress have a different mindset. They're not guessing, they're building. They know what's working and what's not. They don't waste time repeating what failed. They optimize, they adjust, they move forward because they know what to fix. They know what to double down on, and most of all, they know what's real. That's the edge, because the mind can be a master manipulator, especially when you're tired, emotional, or overwhelmed. But when your life is on the page in front of you, there's no hiding. Most people live by hope. They hope they're doing well, they hope it's all adding up. But hope is not a plan. Progress without tracking is just noise. Real success lives in precision. Athletes track their times. CEOs track their numbers. Leaders track their goals. You want to win? Start doing what winners do. Make your progress visible. Even better. Make it uncomfortable. Make it undeniable. Stop sugarcoating your results. If your goal was 5 days of consistency and you hit 2, face it. Don't explain it away. Just fix it. Get stronger. Use it as fuel, not shame. Because growth doesn't come from perfection. It comes from awareness. When you know better, you do better. But first, you've got to know. And to know, you've got to track. Tracking is also motivation in disguise. When you see your progress building, even slowly, it energizes you. That spark you lost. It comes back because now you're not chasing a vague idea. You're racing a streak, a number, a record you can beat. You start to compete with your past self, and that's when things change. Because the person who beats who they were yesterday doesn't need outside validation. They're driven by results, and that's unshakable. When you track daily, you're building something deeper than habits. You're building trust with yourself. That's the real goal, to stop letting yourself down, to become the kind of person who says what they'll do and then does it. But it starts with truth. If you can't track what you're doing, you'll never believe in your own discipline. You'll keep starting over. You'll keep blaming circumstances. But once you get honest about your patterns, you start reclaiming power over them. You want to move faster? Track it. You want to grow stronger? Track it. You want to break bad habits? Track them. You want to improve your mindset, your body, your business, your focus? It all starts with measurement, because you can't manage what you don't measure. And if you're not managing your time, your actions, your results, then who is? Stop lying to yourself about where you are. Stop hoping things will change on their own. They won't. But the good news is, once you start keeping score, you take control. You stop playing in the dark. You start knowing exactly what needs to change. And more importantly, what doesn't. You stop guessing. You start winning. Track your effort, not just your outcome. Track your attitude, not just your achievements. The better you get at tracking, the clearer your path becomes. The fog lifts, the distractions lose power, the doubts quiet down, because you're not just working hard, you're working with direction. And when that happens, you move different. You walk with more purpose. You stop wasting days, because every step is now tied to something real. You've got proof, you've got momentum, you've got numbers, and nothing motivates like knowing it's working. So today, pick a spot, write it down, set a metric. Don't go to sleep until you've tracked it. Do it again tomorrow. Stack the truth, build a record, and watch how fast your life starts shifting in the right direction. Not by chance, but by choice. Number 9, say no to distractions that waste your energy. Every moment you spend chasing distractions is a moment stolen from your potential. You don't need more time, you need to stop giving your time away to things that don't matter. Every goal you've set, every dream you've visualized is being quietly delayed each time you say yes to something that pulls you off track. It doesn't always look harmful. That's the danger. The things that rob your focus often come disguised as innocent habits, familiar routines or obligations that feel too small to refuse. But stacked up over days and weeks, they build into a wall between you and your future. You have to start asking yourself harder questions. Where's my attention going? What do I actually gain from this activity? Would the person I want to become be spending time on this? If the answer is no, eat it. No hesitation. No guilt. Your progress depends on how clearly and how consistently you protect your focus. That doesn't mean isolating yourself or being cold. It means being intentional with what you give energy to, because you only have so much of it. When your attention is scattered, your power is divided. When your attention is directed, your results accelerate. A distracted person can work 10 hours and still fall behind. A focused person can work for 2 and leave everyone else behind. That's the difference. Distractions don't just delay your goals, they dilute your drive. The more you allow interruptions to dictate your day, the more disconnected you become from your own momentum. It starts with one quick scroll, one irrelevant conversation, one passive decision to check in on something that doesn't need your presence. Before you know it, you're off course, tired for no reason, wondering why your results aren't matching your effort. The truth is, the world will never stop offering you 1,000 ways to waste your time. If you don't set boundaries, the noise will consume you. You'll think you're being productive because you're busy. But being busy doesn't mean you're building anything. Real progress requires more than motion. It requires direction. And direction only comes when you learn to guard your focus like it's gold. Because it is. Start by recognizing what actually drains you. Not just what eats up time, but what leaves you mentally tired, emotionally dull, or creatively flat. That could be constant notifications. That could be people who dump their problems on you. That could be your own tendency to overthink, or indulge in tasks that give the illusion of progress, but produce no real value. You don't have to be rude, you just have to be firm. A simple "I'm working right now" or "I'll get back to this later" can save you hours. One honest decision to turn off your phone, close the tab, skip the event, can put you back in control of your direction. Some distractions are external, others are internal. The hardest ones are the ones we've made part of our identity. Procrastination, that feels like I work better, under pressure. Overcommitting, that feels like I don't want to let people down. Perfectionism, that feels like I just want it to be right. These are subtle traps, and they don't just distract you from work. They distract you from truth. They keep you in motion without progress. They give you excuses to avoid taking bold steps forward. You don't need to fight them with willpower. You just need to interrupt them with clarity. Clarity comes from reminding yourself what matters. When you know what you want, distractions lose their power. When you wake up and write down your 3 most important tasks, the rest becomes noise. When you review your progress weekly, you start to see where your time is being stolen. This isn't about working nonstop. It's about working with intention. It's about creating space for focus by cutting out what breaks it. There are people who will never understand why you're not available all the time. That's fine. Let them misunderstand. You're not here to explain your boundaries. You're here to protect them. The people who truly value you will respect your discipline. The ones who don't are just another form of distraction. Your future doesn't need your people-pleasing. It needs your commitment. Your energy is limited. Every hour you spend today is one less hour you get tomorrow. If you don't decide how to spend it, someone else will, and they'll spend it on their priorities, not yours. That's how people wake up one day, realizing they've spent years helping everyone else while their own goals collect dust. Don't let that be your story. Don't let short-term comfort steal your long-term greatness. If you want to achieve something meaningful, you can't afford to entertain every request, every message, every update, every idea that pops into your mind. You need structure. You need silence. You need routines that sharpen your attention, not scatter it. Give yourself blocks of uninterrupted time. Create rituals that pull you into deep work. Practice the discipline of saying "not now," even when it feels uncomfortable. Because every distraction you avoid is an act of self-respect. You don't need to wait until you feel overwhelmed to simplify your life. Start now. Audit your calendar. Review your habits. Ask yourself what you're doing that no longer serves the person you want to become. And have the courage to cut it. No explanation needed. Not every distraction deserves closure. Some things just need to end. And when you clear away what's unnecessary, what's essential comes into focus. You begin to move faster. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to take actions that actually move the needle. Progress becomes natural, not forced. Because now your attention is aligned with your ambition. That's where breakthroughs happen. Not in doing more, but in doing less with deeper intensity. You don't rise by reacting to everything. You rise by choosing what's worth your energy. So make that choice, again and again. Say no when you need to. Shut the door when it's time. Block out the noise, even if it's coming from within. You owe it to your future to stay focused in the present. Nothing steals your fire faster than distractions you've convinced yourself you need. Let them go. This is your time. Don't give it away so easily. Number 10, act like time is running out. Because it is. Every second you delay, opportunities slip away. Time isn't patiently waiting, it's passing. When you begin acting like your days are numbered, your priorities sharpen and your excuses vanish. That sense of urgency doesn't scare you. It frees you, it wakes up your focus, sharpens your decisions, and forces you to do things you've been putting off. And that's when real life change begins. When time feels limited, you don't waste it. You stop overthinking and start doing. The longer you make a plan, the less likely you are to reach its end. But when you work like the clock's ticking, you move with clarity. You push with purpose. You use every moment, because you know you don't get unlimited ones. Pretend your chance is expiring, not as a scare tactic, but as motivation. When you act like the deadline is real, you become efficient. Distractions fade. Procrastination weakens. You become a force before the door closes. There's no second draft at that point. There's just action. That mindset pushes you to say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. Imagine looking back and realizing time passed without progress. That regret carries more weight than effort ever will. It stays with people who waited too long. You can't earn more days. You can't pause them, but you can decide what you do with each one. So choose to live like this as your last chance to start something that matters. The person you want to be deserves that sense of urgency. Your energy rises when you treat time as precious. You won't tolerate vague goals, half effort, or delayed decisions. You eliminate what wastes your focus. You push past fear because waiting has a cost. That pressure brings clarity, not panic. It brings momentum, not anxiety. It forces you to align action with intention, and it transforms average into extraordinary. If something matters, don't plan indefinitely. Start now, not when you're rested, not when you're certain, because perfect conditions never arrive. But you can build momentum today. You can take imperfect action, gather insight, course correct, and keep moving. You don't need more time, you need to start using the time you have with design. Every time you delay, time takes back power. Every time you act without waiting, you reclaim it. That's how growth works. You don't get to choose your timeline, you get to choose your urgency. You don't control time, but you decide how you respond to it. And that choice separates those who live dreams from those who live excuses. You can't rewind your past. You can't pause your future. But this moment is here. If you act like it's not guaranteed, your life changes. You become more intentional. You manage your minutes. You treat hours with respect. That's rare. Most people act like they have endless tomorrow, but tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Today, so use it. Make decisive moves. Finish tasks you've been avoiding. Make the calls you've been procrastinating. Start the project you've been dreaming about. Build the habits you've been promising yourself. Do that not next week, not next month, but now, with urgency, with focus, with purpose. Your progress measures itself in how often you move. When it's uncomfortable, because you're racing a clock no one sees, you might feel pressure, but that's good. That pressure is the fuel for results. Action, and by urgency, is unstoppable. It doesn't wait for motivation. It doesn't rely on feelings. It relies on decisions and execution. This isn't about fear of running out. It's about respect for what you have. It's about honoring your potential. It's about refusing to let time run you over while you stand still. You owe yourself that fight. You owe your goals that urgency. You owe your future that discipline. Start living each day like there's no guarantee of tomorrow. Make your action count. Treat your time as non-renewable. Build habits that accelerate progress, not delay it. Remove the wait, the pause, the pretending. Step forward with intention. Soon, the momentum builds. You'll look back and realize how far you came. Not because you had more time, but because you treated every moment like it mattered. And in that mindset, ordinary days become extraordinary. That's how legacies begin. That's how dreams are built, with urgency, with focus, with relentless action. So don't just say you care. Show it with urgency. Don't just talk about what you'll do. Do it while the clock is ticking. Don't wait for tomorrow. Treat this as your moment. Time is running out. Act like it does.